Happy Easter. Thanks for coming. Good to see you. So we're going to start off with something really basic here today. Who of our young'uns know the Easter story? What do you know about the Easter story? Give me something to work with here. What do you know? Let's figure out what you know and what you don't know.
Nothing.
You know something.
I don't know anything.
Don't know anything. Let's see. What are we celebrating on Easter Sunday?
Nothing.
All right. So we have comedians today, I see. But we're celebrating that the Lord rose again. The people, they crucified him. His disciples, all his followers, thought this was the end. Oh no, he was the king. He was the one who was supposed to save us all. But he's dead. But then, on Easter Sunday, they roll back the stone in his tomb, and the tomb back then is like a cave. And so they just roll a big stone over it. They don't bury you in the ground. They put you in a cave and roll a stone over it. And they go back on the third day, and they see that the stone's rolled back. And they go in the cave, and they find that he's not there. Where did he go?
He's alive in a different cave.
No, not in a different cave. No,
He's alive.
he's alive. Thank you. Yes. It's a reasonable answer, but yeah, he is alive, and he's out, and he's finding his followers. He's saying, hey, I have risen just as I said I would. That's what we're celebrating on Easter Sunday, is that the Lord rose. But the question is, why? So, how did that work? How does the Lord save us all? When I came here 5 years ago, the first sermon I ever preached here was called Master the Basics.
What the?
And the idea is that we have to get a few basic concepts really right. You're not going to be served really well with lots of theological minutiae, but if you can get a few basic concepts mastered, that'll serve you well. And mastery is the key here, because anybody can go out and ride a bike, but nobody thinks that because they ride a bike they can go win the Tour de France. It's the mastery that the Tour de France riders have that me and the rest of us here in this room don't have. So it's mastery of some of these basic things. And when I think about this idea of Easter and what is it that the Lord did for us on Easter Sunday, this is one of those concepts that we want to master and know what's going on here. So I'm going to invite one of our young audience members to come. You want to come? All right. Maybe my prop for a few minutes. It won't hurt.
Yeah, that's skipping rope.
All right. So let's see. And face them. These are friendly people. They're all your friends and family. Have you ever heard of a disease called gangrene? No. Has anybody else here heard of gangrene? Can somebody help? Does anybody want to tell Dylan what gangrene is? Got any ideas? Yeah.
You rot.
Yeah, your skin dies. It's not like it just hurts. It's dead. Like you've had your fingernails trimmed. It doesn't hurt when your fingernails trimmed because the fingernails are dead. Same with your hair. That's why it doesn't hurt when you cut your hair, because it's dead. Well, when gangrene gets you, it usually starts in your feet or on your hands, and it spreads and it kills the flesh. Now, let me see this hand here. So, imagine this. The gangrene starts here, and it works its way up, and eventually it spreads up and over the entire Dylan Johnson body. So, here's my question for you,
He's
Dylan.
not a butt.
Here's my question for you. The gangrene will kill you. It will. I'm not making that up. If you have gangrene up to here, and I cure you, did I save your arm, or did I save all of you? All of you. That's right. All of it. Because if I don't get this is dead, this is dead, that's dead. It's all dead. Thanks. Got to see. It's all dead. And this is what I'm trying to bring up with this idea of what the Lord did. He came in And he dealt with a issue that saved everybody, because if he didn't, everybody was going to perish. It's an important concept that is worth mastering. We have to have the whole body saved by doing what he did. If you want to look at your order of service, the first reading talks about this. It's from the Doctrine of the Lord, number 33. It says, "For before the Lord's coming, the hells had grown to such a degree that they had begun to infest the very angels of heaven, and in a like manner to infest every man that came into the world and every man that went out of it. The hells grew to such a degree because the church was utterly devastated." Devastated meaning in this case, it no longer taught anything good or true. You couldn't get help there. "And the men in the world from idolatrous practices were in sheer falsities and evils. They didn't believe anything that was true. They didn't do anything that was good. And the hells are from men. Hence it was that unless the Lord had come into the world, no man could have been saved." So, how is it that the Lord changes things? How does he, this doctrine of the Lord talks about this infestation, kind of like an infection like gangrene. You have this infestation that spreads slowly throughout the world. Well, how do you clear it up? We have an example here in our story for today. So believe it or not, we're not doing the Easter story. I want to show you how the Lord does his work. And because we have little boys here, we have Legos. So everybody likes Legos. So here's your story from Matthew chapter 4. This is how the Lord deals with a spiritual infection. He says, "Then Jesus was led up by the Spirit into the wilderness to be tempted by the devil. And after fasting 40 days and 40 nights, he was hungry. The tempter came to him and said, 'If you are the Son of God, command these stones to become loaves of bread.'" Right? You get that? Because if he's God, he can do anything. Why don't you just make those stones bread? No problem. If you're God, you can do anything. And he says, "But it is answered, it is written, man shall not live by bread alone, but by every word that comes from the mouth of God." Then the devil took him to the holy city and set him on the pinnacle of the temple and said to him, "If you are the Son of God, throw yourself down, for it is written, he will command his angels concerning you, and on their hands they will bear you up, lest you strike your foot against a stone." Jesus said to him, "Again, it is written, you shall not put the Lord your God to the test." Again, the devil took him to a very high mountain and showed him all the kingdoms of the world and all their glory. And he said to him, "All these I will give you, if you will fall down and worship me." And Jesus said to him, "Begone, Satan, for it is written, you shall worship the Lord your God, and only him shall you serve." Then the devil left him, and behold, angels came and were ministering to him. So how did we get rid of this guy? How did we make him go away? Did you catch that? What did the Lord do? No? I mean, did the Lord punch him in the face? No, he didn't do that. He told him the truth. He says, "If you worship me, it'll all be yours." And he says, "You are to worship the Lord your God and serve only him." That's how the Lord changes the world, by resisting what the devil is saying. We get in the book of James later, summarized by saying, "Submit yourself then to God. Resist the devil, and he will flee from you." This is basic Christianity here, folks. And when you go out in the world and you talk to people about, and they ask you, "What's the new church about?" One of the fundamental, most basic concepts is the concept of God. And some people will tell you what they think of God and how God operates, and that, well, he needs sacrifices, and he needs this, and he needs that. What the new church will tell you is that what God needs is love, mercy, wisdom, very simple things. And the response you'll often get is, "Well, what's the point of the cross? If the cross doesn't let you into heaven, what's the point? The New Church says the point of that cross is that it was one more resisting of the devil. And by resisting the devil, you make him go away. It's simple as that. And because of that's how it's worked, it clears this infection, this spiritual gangrene or spiritual pollution, whatever you want to call it, whatever was in this society at that time. You saved people of all religions, Hindu, Buddhist, Muslim, you name it. Everybody has the opportunities for salvation because the infection is cleared from the system. Even Dylan here understands that his whole body was saved just by clearing out the infection of his arm, because the rest was going to follow and die. The Lord says, okay, well, we're going to clear it out, and the whole thing can be saved. And it's saved by resisting the devil. Now, in the Lord's time, it wasn't just the devil he had to contend with. It wasn't just evil. He was actually contending with the good people as well. Now, I like to think that the folks here in this congregation today are good people. But how many of us are good all the time? That's right, keep your hands down. Do not raise your hand on that one. The Lord has a lot of work to do with all of us, I know. And one of the teachings of the new church is that the Lord had to deal with the angels tempting him too. The angels saying, look, these guys just aren't worth it. These guys are terrible. They're not listening to you. They haven't followed you for thousands of years. Why are you wasting your time? Even the good people are saying, just get out of there. Leave them alone. Let them have their punishment. I mean, how many of us are really patient with people that are not nice to us? Yeah, that's a tough one. And the Lord's saying, no, I'm going to resist the temptation to be mean to people who are being mean to me. Secrets of Heaven talks about this last temptation. He says, it's number 4295, if you want to follow along in your book. It says, that the Lord in temptation at last fought with the angels themselves, nay, the entire angelic heaven, is a secret that has not yet been disclosed. But the case with regard to this matter is that the angels are indeed in highest in wisdom and intelligence, but have all wisdom and intelligence from the divine of the Lord. From themselves, or from what is their own, they have nothing of wisdom and intelligence. So far, therefore, as they are the truths and goods from the divine of the Lord, so far they are wise and intelligent. So as long as they're doing what the Lord tells them, they're wise. But when they're doing what they think is wise, they're not. This being the case, in order that the Lord might reduce the universal heaven into heavenly order, getting all the bad things out of heaven, he admitted into himself temptations from the angels also, who, insofar as they were in what is their own, were so far not in good and truth. These temptations are the inmost of all, for they act solely in the ends, and with subtlety that cannot possibly be noticed. So the angels are leading the Lord into temptation. His best friends, the people that are closest to him, are leading him into temptation. The whole story we have of Jesus' life is this one where he's being tempted to do wrong things, to believe things that are not true, and he's resisting. And every time he resists, the devil flees, hell flees, evil flees. That's what's slowly happening throughout his ministry here, is this cleaning out of this infection. That's what's going away. He's fighting this stuff from all sides, and he wins every single time. We celebrate Easter because we are excited. It's supposed to be, all right, it's supposed to be a party. It's supposed to be a celebration because he is risen, and he's good for his promises. He says, well, I'm God. You can't kill me. You can try, but I'm still going to rise again. We celebrate because it was true. But we also celebrate because he's made it possible for us to choose to do good. He means that as each one of us gets older and we have choices to do the right thing, to tell the truth, to be kind, to think of other people more than ourselves, to choose things that are of a higher spiritual worth than, say, money, fame, and power, we have the ability to do that. It was at a time back then, this infestation of evil was coming, that you didn't have the choice to choose. You can still choose to be evil. You can still choose to be rotten. He lets you do that. He's a gentleman. But you don't have to. You don't have to. So when somebody asks you, and you go out there, what's the point of Easter? Okay, the Lord rose again. And how does that help us? The simple answer is because as you resist evil, it flees. How does that save everybody? Because it's taken that sphere away from all of us. Not just the Christians, not just the good Christians. Everybody has this choice because Jesus came and died on the cross and resisted that devil. All of them. And the angels too. Amen.